At 2:50 in the morning, a 30-year-old scientist lay unconscious in an intensive care unit in Raleigh, North Carolina. For weeks, doctors had struggled to explain what was happening to his body. Flu, food poisoning, a rare infection. Nothing fit. Then the lab results arrived, carrying a single word that changed everything. Arsenic. What began as a harmless night out at a bowling alley would destroy an entire family in just 17 days. A promising medical researcher would die. A marriage would unravel. A co-worker would become central to the investigation, and then disappear forever. And for years, investigators would hit a wall, not built of silence or fear, but of law. Tonight, we walk through the life and death of Dr. Eric D. Miller step by step, separating what is proven in court records from what remains disputed. Who was Eric Miller? Eric Miller grew up in Indiana. By all accounts, his childhood was ordinary, in the best way possible. School, sports, family routines, church life. Nothing that hinted at future tragedy. By college, Eric found his calling: science. He studied biology and chemistry at Purdue University and later earned a PhD in biochemistry in 1999. Eric wasn't chasing titles, he loved the work itself. The patients. The process. The belief that careful research could save lives. That passion took him to North Carolina, where he began postdoctoral research in pediatric AIDS at the University of North Carolina. It was also there that he met another scientist. From the outside, they looked like a dream couple. Two brilliant researchers. Newly married. New careers. A fresh start. And worked as a chemist in the pharmaceutical industry, including at GlaxoSmithKline. On January 17, 2000, their lives reached what should have been a peak moment. They welcomed a baby girl, Clara Elise Miller. The future looked secure. Then just 10 months later, Eric got sick. The night that changed everything. Wednesday, November 15, 2000. Eric went out bowling at an AMF bowling center in Raleigh with several of Ann's co-workers. One of them was a man named Darrell H. Willard. According to later findings summarized by the North Carolina Supreme Court, Eric drank beer handed to him by Willard. He told others it tasted bad or funny. The next day, Eric was hospitalized at Rex Hospital. His symptoms were severe: vomiting, weakness, confusion, classic signs that looked like flu or food poisoning. What doctors didn't yet know was that Eric was suffering from acute arsenic poisoning. And arsenic is terrifying precisely because it hides. It mimics common illness. It delays suspicion. And by the time it's identified, it's often too late. A poison that hid in plain sight. Arsenic is a naturally occurring element. Certain forms are extremely toxic to humans. In acute exposure, victims suffer severe gastrointestinal distress, weakness, and organ failure. Doctors treat what they see, and what they see often looks ordinary. During Eric's hospitalization at UNC Chapel Hill, urine samples were collected to test for arsenic. But the results wouldn't return until early December. Eric seemed to improve. On November 24th, he was discharged and sent home. His parents came to help care for him and his infant daughter. Then, on December 1st, Eric suddenly collapsed again. Violently ill. Rushed back to the hospital. This time the results arrived. Arsenic. At lethal levels. At 2:50 a.m. on December 2, 2000, Dr. Eric Miller was dead. From medical mystery to homicide. Investigators immediately faced three possibilities: suicide, accident, murder. Suicide was ruled out. Eric showed no signs of depression and was deeply focused on his family and career. Accidental exposure was ruled out. No arsenic compounds were found in Eric's lab at UNC. That left one option: homicide. And homicide always comes down to three things: means, opportunity, motive. The investigation turns personal. Police interviewed everyone from the bowling night. One person was unreachable: Darrell Willard. They also interviewed Ann Miller on the day Eric died. She denied any idea why someone would poison her husband. Soon after, investigators requested further interviews. Ann's legal team refused. Another detail raised alarms: Eric's body was cremated shortly after the autopsy, at Ann's request. Cremation alone proves nothing. But in a poisoning case, evidence matters. Then investigators uncovered something far darker. and Miller and Daryl Willard were having an affair. Phone records showed 576 minutes of calls, with spikes before and after the bowling night. Emails confirmed an ongoing relationship. To detectives, this no longer looked like coincidence. Access to poison, and worked at GlaxoSmithKline, a pharmaceutical lab. Investigators later reported arsenic residue found in her office. This did not automatically mean guilt. Labs handle toxic chemicals under strict protocols. But it answered the question of access. Means were now plausible. The second death. As police pressure increased, Daryl Willard hired a defense attorney. According to court records, he was told he could face charges. Days later, Daryl Willard died by suicide. And with his death, investigators lost a critical voice. But they gained a legal battle. The case that changed law. The state sought access to Willard's attorney-client communications. The question reached the North Carolina Supreme Court. Does attorney-client privilege survive death? The court ruled yes, but not absolutely. Judges could privately review communications to determine if they involved third-party crimes. Behind closed doors, information emerged that shattered the case open. Courting.
Don't care where she is. Your husband is missing too, Laura said. Susan laughed bitterly. Good. He destroyed my life. Married another woman behind my back. You expect me to cry? Laura noticed something. Susan hadn't filed a complaint. Not against Emily. Not against Mark. Why? The phone that went silent. Back at the station, Ryan traced phone records. Mark's phone stayed active at Emily's house until 3:12 a.m., he said. Then it shut off, near the highway. Laura's jaw tightened. He drove her somewhere. Meanwhile, the kids. Across town, in a small rented apartment, 3 teenagers sat in silence. Jason, Maya, and Ethan. Jason broke the silence. The police are getting close. Maya whispered, we planned everything. Calls, locations, everything. Ethan looked terrified. But what if they find the car? Jason's eyes darkened. Then we say nothing. We're minors. Maximum time is juvenile detention. Maya repeated the words like a prayer. We'll be out. We'll be free. But none of them noticed the mistake they'd already made. A witness nobody expected. A shop owner near the highway stepped into the station the next morning. I saw a white sedan, he said. 2 nights ago. Around 4 a.m. It stopped near the abandoned land. Anyone inside? Laura asked. A man drove back alone. Laura felt it. They were close. End of part 2 cliffhanger. That evening, cadaver dogs were brought to the area. One dog stopped. Started digging. The officer froze. Ma'am, we found something. Laura closed her eyes. Because now the question wasn't where Emily was. It was, how many secrets were buried with her?